Hey, football fans, it's Scary Greene in Las Vegas, longtime sports handicapper, professional sports bettor for the past 35 years. And this is our NFL week number 7 stock down report. And these are not good reports for anything that I mentioned the rest of this video. We're going to start right off with the New York Giants offense. And I've never seen this before in a long, long time. There are going to always be really bad teams and really bad struggling offenses. But the New York Giants came into the game on Sunday against the Eagles, not scoring a touchdown in 5 games in the first half. They did it again, and they kicked a field goal in the last play of the first half. They lost their best offensive lineman. They have quarterback controversy, which is never a good thing. The head coach is just completely brutal with play calling. Obviously, they have no solid running back. They lost Barkley, and wow, what did that look like to have Barkley come back and just crush him for 175 yards last week? But they have no running game. They have no offensive line. Jones is not good, and then they have one weapon, a rookie wide receiver who has got tons of talent. But for the most part, when the other teams know who that is, they're going to keep them from having real big days, and it really double them up once they get close to the red zone, which they don't even get that close with that. But the bottom line is that this is an offense that's in shambles. This team's not going to get better. It's just going to get worse and worse. It's never good when you pull the quarterback, and then the quarterback's actually mad when he should have took the blame and said, hey, I fully understand. The game was over. But he didn't say that because he's too stupid, just like Aaron Rodgers. And so that's a situation where you're playing in the New York market. You got no shot. It's over. You don't want to look to bet the Giants. You look to bet against them. I mean, again, they can't even score points. So, when you go through first halves, you should be able to take advantage of other teams before they could figure you out. They got them figured out in the first quarter. It's just a real bad situation. Now, these two are going to be a little bit of surprises, because what we've seen so far, if you didn't watch every game in depth like I do with in-depth tape watching, and I do it with a couple of ex-coaches, an ex-NFL coach and an ex-college coach, every week we watch these tapes and you find out things. But the Houston offensive line has really played bad, and C.J. Stroud had no opportunities on Sunday against Green Bay, and yet they were ahead. But that score is very deceiving. They were really, really not even close to as good as Green Bay was for the most part in that game. They hung in there, and that's good coaching, and they have good talent. Will Anderson's playing fantastic for the defensive side of the ball. But the offensive line scares me for the Texans right now. And the other thing is, one of my guys, Nico Collins, wide receiver for the Texans, he went out, and that made a big difference in this game on Sunday against the Packers. And I worry a little bit. I would step back away from Houston right now until they get this offensive line situation handled, because you might only see where there was 3 sacks on Sunday, but there were so many pressures. And when you're holding a top quarterback like C.J. Stroud in 100-yard range, that's usually going to end up coming on the offensive line most of the time, and that's the case here. The other one is the Atlanta Falcons offensive line, and although I hate Kirk Cousins, and I think that he's the biggest fraud quarterback in the NFL in the last decade, he's never really, to me, won a big game. He's a stat patter, but the offensive line was atrocious, and that's no good for Kirk Cousins because he's still coming off an injury. You saw that big game, the crazy wild game, goes into overtime, he gets all these yards. That's not what he's going to do every week. And then look what happens against Seattle. Seattle just manhandled them with tremendous pass rush blitzes. He couldn't do anything. And then he overthrew, even sometimes he stepped up in the pocket. He overthrew the wide receivers 3 different times, one for a terrible interception. And, to me, that's something to be scared of. The fact that and the fact that the running back, Robinson, he's not gaining 100 yards a game like they thought. Boy, just look over at Gibbs with the Detroit Lions and see the difference of how one guy is overexcelled and looks like a superstar, and the other guy we don't even hear about, and he was supposed to be the greatest thing since sliced bread when the Atlanta Falcons got him. So the good news for the Atlanta Falcons only on that offense is that Pitts is finally looking like the guy that we thought he was going to be coming out of college. So that's a good sign for Atlanta. But again, I'm telling you, this Atlanta This is just going to be a roller coaster, so you're going to be on a roller coaster ride, and people say, what happened to the team from last week? That's the NFL anyway, but I think you're going to see that the rest of the year with this Atlanta up and down, up and down. I think Houston will be up more than they're down the rest of the way. The next team that no one's talking about because of the Jets debacles, and the Jets are on TV, smashed in our face every week, playing terrible football, but it's the Miami Dolphins. And let me tell you right now, they have a head coach that does the play calling on the offense, and I hate that. I just don't like it. You're the head coach, and you can't do both. And this guy's on the sidelines, and the players are laughing, and there's no remorse after the losses or the bad games. Doesn't make any sense to me. They have $1 zillion paid to their top 2 wide receivers, and they can't score any points. Now, I know they have backup quarterbacks in there, but the bottom line, the offensive line's not that good. This doesn't even seem like they care, and so that's why they're flying under the radar. But this is an offense right now. Tua's going to come back this week, and we'll see what happens. Usually guys after a concussion are going to take it a little conservative, so I don't expect them to break it out this week. He has a nice deep ball, and of course he's hit Hill many a time on some deep balls. But right now, I just do not like McDaniel, and I think that the GM has done the worst job of any GM in the NFL in the last 30 years. He's been there forever, and he hasn't accomplished anything. He lost some key guys on the defensive side of the ball, but in this case, the stock down is on the Miami Dolphins offense. It has been F grade for me. Don't like it at all. Excuse me. Next, which is a shame because we knew they weren't going to be that good, but the Carolina defense, offense, I could give stock down. The head coach is admitting today that maybe he's putting too much pressure or too much on the plate of the offensive unit there. Now Dalton gets in a car accident on top of it. I mean, they bring in Bryce Young last week for the last series, and it's 3rd down and 7, and he's throwing a ball behind the line of scrimmage to the running back. I just don't understand anything that's going on with this team. The owner is one of the worst in the league, and I'm a Redskins fan, and I know what it's like to have a terrible owner. But this team's got to blow it up, and they're not going to. They're decimated with injuries on the defense side of the ball. The running backs have been hurt. The offensive line's not. There's just nothing good, nothing that you can talk about. And I understand that you're going to start seeing a lot of points that they're going to be getting, but you can't even sniff them. You can't even say, well, they can hang in there. They're still an NFL team. They're as close to not being an NFL team as any team that I've seen. Even the Cleveland Browns, as bad as their situation is with the quarterback spots and everything, the defense is really still pretty solid. So they're not even in the same caliber. So, you would just want to look to keep pounding against. I had the Washington Commanders team total over, and I take a lot of team totals, and I've done exceptional with them. But that's a situation right there where I truly believe that you can just keep taking advantage. This team just, I used to kid on the radio and say my favorite line was this defense couldn't stop the kids in the neighborhood, and that's pretty much the case here with Carolina. So you want to stay far, far away from that team. The worst wide receiver room in the NFL right now, and you wouldn't know this because, again, they're not terrible in that sense, but the Las Vegas Raiders, they don't even have a wide receiver that you would even know or talk about. Their top weapon is Brock Bowers, who tremendous pick there, but they had so many holes at other positions. Now, one quarterback's out, the other quarterback's back in who couldn't play, so that the other quarterback, it's just musical chairs, which is never good. But how much better is the offense going to get when they traded their best player in Adams? They have no wide receiver at all. Their top target guy is a tight end, and the offensive line isn't that good. The offense is not going to get any better going forward. And the players don't like the head coach. That's never a good thing. The head coach is kicking a field goal inside the 10-yard line at the end of the game, down 8 points. It's like you're trying to lose. Something's not right there. I would stay far away from this Raiders team as possible too. And it's getting tough, but it's halfway through the year. And some things that look obvious, I always use this analogy of the KISS system. And the KISS is KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. I see everybody think that, all the public is on this side, so the right side is the other side. That doesn't work. If that worked, I would be broke, I would be out of business, and I wouldn't be one of the biggest money-making handicappers in the business. It doesn't work that way, and sometimes the good teams, the Ravens, are just going to keep pouring on points. pouring on points. You keep betting the team total over and over and over and over. You're gonna have a bad game because they're gonna turn it over here or there at the wrong time. Maybe going in to score. They're a little risky, taking chances at the 1 yard line, and then you bet sometimes these totals, and you get burned with it. Even Tampa Bay making mistake after mistake inside that red zone, inside the 10-yard line, they still went over the team total in the game because it was such a high-scoring game. The Ravens right now offense is unstoppable, so. That's a situation where things will keep going. Just keep it simple, and you can make some money. The last one that I'm going to tell you about is going to shock you a little bit. Stock down, and you would never expect this. You probably wouldn't hear this from anybody else because everybody else is just a kiss ass, and I tell it like it is. But Kansas City quarterback Patrick Mahomes is not playing well. He's been a Houdini. He's always going to be a Houdini on plays, and that's the plays they show you. And look, they're 6-0. They're more 6-0 because the defense is just outstanding. Okay, outstanding. But this offense is not playing well. Another team with no real wide receiver now. Lost another wide receiver just going down like flies. And they're not, unless they make some superstar trade, which I guess they're going to have to do at this point. It's got to come here soon. The idea that Patrick Mahomes has 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. And if you go back to last year, other than the Super Bowl game, for a lot of the regular season games, he was struggling there. I mean, Jason Kelsey's now like his top target. And after a few games, he had like 2 catches. So now they're focusing on him a little bit more. But I don't want to be looking at a team and laying big numbers. Although, check out a video I'm going to do, which is going to contradict this a little bit, that I'm going to talk about on the Kansas City end against the Raiders on Sunday. I'm going to be putting that video up shortly. But this is just a situation where right now, I'm not really happy at all with Patrick Mahomes because, he has 8 interceptions, and I clock interceptions that should have happened too. And just because they didn't, just like when a guy commits a serious crime and he gets off, was the crime still committed? It was. And in the case of this, the crime was still committed. They were just lucky that the defensive guy, the ball went right into his hands and he dropped it. So, this Kansas City offense and Patrick Mahomes are not playing. They're, as far as I'm concerned, giving him a C is a high grade, more than he probably deserves. But, they're undefeated now. People think that you're crazy talking like that. And now they're going to be given double digits. But they're going to get bit. They're going to get bit, and they're going to get bit soon because they just don't have the talent that they had in years past unless the defense continues to keep carrying. But we've seen that happen with teams' defenses over the years. The Bears in '85 or the Ravens when they won the Super Bowl. Different teams have had unbelievable defenses, and they can overshadow even an offense that's not playing that well. But be careful, the Kansas City team, especially the offense. Like I bet team total overs a lot, where I feel that forget worrying about covering a spread or getting backdoored. If I'm going to cover that big spread, I'm going to have to get the points anyway, so I take a team total over. This is not one of the teams I would be taking the team total over with, Kansas City, because it's high, it's skewed because of Patrick Mahomes from the past. But right now, Patrick Mahomes and the offense are really not playing good. They're not. There's a saying of hitting on all cylinders. They're not hitting on almost any cylinder, but the defense has really carried him, and he makes just enough crazy big plays, Houdini plays, to get these victories. But they're not playing well at all, so be careful with the Kansas City Chiefs. So. That's it for our stock down report for going into week number 8 in the NFL. Make sure you check out all our other videos at Gary Wins, and I hope all your wagers are winning ones, and have a great week ahead. Take care.